Okay! Hi everyone who might be watching. I'm going to do a quick overview of hair creation and UV mapping. This is for 3ds Max, but I will cover a lot of things that are kind of, universal. But a lot of people have been asking me, oh, how do you make hair, blah, 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 and right now, oh, bad. Okay, so right now, Tier is asking for a little bit of help, so I figured I would go ahead and cover some overall concepts and maybe help you get started. Alright, switching over to Max right now. You can see I have a hair file loaded where there's a skeleton, and normally you would have the whole body there, but right now it's hidden and blah blah blah. So I'll unhide that later. But right now let's get rid of all this stuff that we don't really need right now. Yes. You can see here is a hairstyle that I did previously, and if you've seen my other video, you've probably seen that, or maybe you actually wear it in World. I'm sure maybe you do. We'll hide that for now. And we will unhide the upper body, whatever it's called. Let's find it. Upper body mesh, yes. There we go. Oh, boobs. Okay. Well, I like to use a method called lofting, which you pretty much take two splines, one for the shape of the loft, which, well, not circle. I like to use an ellipse because see how you can change the length and width of the circle independently. These are usually pretty cute low values like this. Alright, so if you look at this up close, there's our ellipse for our hair. That will be the basic shape. And then I will zoom out here. We will make a shape for the hair. I want it to be a little curl. What I'm doing is clicking and dragging to make the curve, and if I just click once it'll make just a single line, which really we can just do that. Make our own line and then come on our line, make it smooth, and it would smooth out for us like that. But, whatever. I actually like to use NURBS curves, so I'm gonna make a new one. And with this, I like to do start at the end because this is the wrong kind of curve. My bad. Okay, I like to start at the end because Max will actually, when you're ready to texture it, it will put the top part of the texture on the end right here. So anyway, there's our curve that we're going to do for our hair. So we're going to come back here, go into compound objects down here, select loft, and what we do is that we make sure your path is selected, because if you take the start with the shape and go to path, it's going to put that path down here at the shape, and that's, you can do it, but it's not very, friendly to, there's an extra step where you've got to move the stuff back over where it goes and blah blah blah. So anyway, we're going to click get shape, get the shape. Ah! Look at that, that's crazy. If we open our material editor, which I actually have over off on the side, double monitors. Anyway, we can see I have a hair material set up right here. The maximum number of materials you can do for one object in Second Life is 8. So I already have 8 set up here. And if you look, you can see that I've got one for the one part that doesn't have alpha and another for a part that might have alpha. So I'm going to go ahead and put this over. Okay, now you'll notice how it just turned like a solid blue. That's not cool. So we're going to go back over here into uncheck these because we won't need them. To the surface, apply mapping. What that will do is add its own mapping, which if we open the unwrapped UV thing, we can see that it's now in a complete, taking up the whole square. Now this is where, like, if you had a sculpted hairstyle, like, you know, it would take up this whole square right here. You would need all of it. But since we are using mesh, you know, we have some freedom to change the UV to whatever we want. So I can just select all these points, or I could even go over here and select all the faces or whatever. We will do vertices just for, let's like go back into our modifier first and change, we don't need this many points on it. I usually do 1 for the shape step and anywhere between 1 to 3 on the path. Now I can go back in here under the loft modifier and edit the path and add, so you can see how it's really jagged right there, you know, not really jagged but linear. We can add in more points here to our line and it will make it smoother. You can also edit the line. We want to move our pieces around a bit. You want it to fall on her, around her shoulder. I want this to be closer to the head. You can just go in there, edit it a bit, change it however you want. Smaller curl, we can select pieces and scale them. Yeah, she's looking cute already. Yeah. Adorable. Alright, in addition to that, we can also change the shape if we wanted, but I'm going to do something a little different here. So we can get, like, have an end that's more pointy and maybe a top or middle that is, you know, not larger. Add some points in here and you can see you can change the scaling without actually changing the loft itself or this shape down here. It will always stay that 0.4, 0.1 that we did. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out. Larger. Make this 0 so it comes down into a point there. We can also take the twist and we can twist that so it looks a little bit more, you know, not like it was before, like this, or it's sticking out of the head a bit. There you go. That's a good strand, and then we could go on back and, like, you know, copy this over, change it a bit, twist it some more this way, twist the bottom. You can go back into the path move these points around so they make a little more sense. Rotate, and notice how it rotates when you move the bottom of this. That is, yeah, it is a little bit annoying, but I mean, you can always go back and retwist once you're done. It's pretty much the only big problem I really have with this method right here, is that kind of twisting. That's pretty annoying. And you can always add points in between this twisty thing, and you know, you can make it smooth like that. So it moves around and all. But I won't, because I don't need it for that. Alright. So, if we look back over here, go back to our unwrap, you can see we have fewer points than what we had before, because I changed the shape steps and path steps here. Anyway, let me show you what manipulating this map will do. Let's select all these points again, and we are on freeform transform mode, which means we can move it around. Undo. We can scale. Okay. We can also, not sure if we can rotate in this mode, but yeah, rotating is available if you would want to rotate. This is a good way to do dreads, I've found. But we'll go back to the freeform transform, and right here, what we're gonna do is if we wanted our texture, I don't really like to leave it as this full texture. I mean, it looks okay on this piece of hair right now because we've got a rather large section of hair here. But if it were smaller, and I still maybe want to do it a little bit now, but if it were smaller, it would look, let's go ahead and let's go back to the shape and make this the length. Notice how the texture is squished together a lot in there, you know? And it doesn't really match up with this large piece right here. So I would want to go back into this UV editor right here and just scale it down a bit so it matches better with that large piece there, which you can see. Let's unselect. That's a little better, but it's still a little bit, make it a stab larger. Alright? Now see how this is no longer that square. It's like a small rectangle. And that is okay because it's not a sculpt. So when you had a sculpty, you needed to have the whole UV map just be one big square because that's how they functioned. But since it's mesh, it doesn't matter. So another thing I like to do, and this is equal to, say, the texture offsets in the SecondLife texture editor. Select all these, is I like to move them all, move individual pieces horizontally, which I will take a more complete hair and show you how this mapping process works in a bit. But if you look real close here, you can notice how this is moving, you know. It's just a little something that I like to do because I really hate it when you're looking at a hair or anything really and you can see repeated textures all the way across the hair, and it's kind of ugly to me. So this is something I've done back since my days on IMVU and whatnot. Alright, so that's one way to do that. let's say you were going to make a sculpted, like from a cylinder. Say, here we have our cylinder. Let's put a material on that. We'll use the pink this time. Alright. Do some heights. Whoa, that's a lot. Forgot I've got my thing on there. Alright. Do a few with that. Alright, with this cylinder, we would, you know, take the tops off of it. You know, there we go. Maybe we want to scale these down a bit. Actually, if you right click on the scale thing for Max, you can change, type that in as we would with a sculpt. Maybe we want to shape this a bit. There we go. We want to squish this. It's more hair shaped. Probably squish it some more. I probably wouldn't have normally used that many faces around it. I usually would do an 8 or so for it. Here we go. Generally just manipulate that around the head. This piece is kind of big. Let's scale it. Yay! Turn local off. Yay, let's move pieces left and right. Yay. Alright, I'm gonna use a mesh smooth modifier on this, which is gonna give me more polys than I really want, because I've got a lot of that, if you look at it. A lot of faces around there, like I said before, but you know, whatever. It's just a test right now. Actually, I think I want to take this whole thing, rotate it around. Oh, alright. So here we have a terrible piece of hair, but there's a piece of hair, yay! Made in the method that maybe you would use to make a sculpt. Alright. So if we look at this UV map, it's still a cylinder. In Max, I don't know why, but it moves. It has that little piece off on the side. That which when you would normally be doing a sculpt, it would be a little difficult to work with. Or not difficult, but you'd have to move it over to the center of the stage area. Because as you can see, this checkered area is for the map right there. I can put a map on this and you can see, oh look, there's the hair texture! Yay! So anyway, we would do the same thing here. We're gonna slide this around. We can make it larger or smaller. Don't want this one too large. And then here again, I would select all the points. We can move it around like so. Awesome. Don't want to do that. Alright. So, okay, let's hide these pieces. Hide, make sure they're selected, hide, and pull out a real hairstyle. group. Alright, pull out this hairstyle right here. Which I apologize that these normals are like weird right now and it looks weird. You can flip normals with the normal modifier. Look, there we go. All done. Alright, open this group. And I've got sections already parted out. So let me copy this over so you guys can see it. I'll have to take the normal off this because that's not right. Anyway, here's all the sections of the hair that I have that's a complete cylinder, like what I just showed you how to make. Alright, and if you can see, I've already got it mapped right here. This section, which it looks really crazy, but it's really not. I will take this off. Let's reset the UVs. Reset. Look, it still looks kind of crazy, but you can tell it's all in this square right here. All the pieces are lining up. Okay, so what I would do is, again, select all these pieces, scale them down a bit. Let's look at it. I mean, you are more than welcome then to like select individual pieces. In Max we would do this, select this button that says select by element. I would go to polygons and I can select each one of these little pieces right here. Like so. And if I wanted to, if I felt like this piece up here didn't match well with the other pieces, I could just take this and stretch this individually as I felt I needed. But I think I built this one. It's pretty much they're all about the same size, so I probably won't do them individually like that. But you can see I've taken this. These are all the pieces of the hair right here. Alright. Now I'm just gonna turn this to horizontal only. And I can turn on element, select by element, and I'm just gonna move these pieces right here to random places. It doesn't matter if you go off the staging area because it will just repeat. Taking each piece until I run out of pieces. I don't know what it is about my Macs, but when I'm in the UV editor and I've got a lot of faces, it's kind of a little bit slow and gets a little sticky sometimes. Like that. There we go. Alright, that was the last piece. Yay! Okay. You can see, ooh, I've moved all these pieces around. Now I'm just going to go ahead and move these back sort of like in the center to center these pieces because OCD! Anyway, now's the time where I usually use like a rainbow texture for this, to check and make sure there's no pieces that are like close to each other. Like check these two out. These are together and they're kind of mapped on the same area of the texture, so I would just like move it a little bit and kind of make sure no two that are together are too close together, just because again that OCD with that texture repeats, blah 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 blah. And again, you can still go ahead and, like, you know, resize these however you want. I usually like to take and scale the bottom pieces up a little bit, because in SL, you know, the alpha textures kind of, the way they save the textures out, there's usually a little piece of the top that kind of leaks onto the bottom that comes out, and you can edit that in the texture repeats and offsets in the SecondLife editor, texture editor. You don't have to do it on your map, but I just like to do it on the map because I do. Alright, this hair is pretty much completely mapped out. Yay! Of course, I haven't, like, you know, gone through and looked at every single one of these and kind of gone over and make sure none of them are overlapping, but, you know, tutorial. Not really that important right now. Another thing you can look at, like, you can see the alpha textures here. This is a good time to make sure they look the way you want them to. If I take that off, you can see how that moves. I probably wouldn't do a texture where it's like that. I would want something where it's kind of smooth and nice. See, even that's pretty good, you know? Like that. Alright. So there's that. All mapped and awesome. Let me save as. One thing I didn't mention, but I like to save often. I probably already like saved over this file and now I'm like screwed or something, but no. I have, like, you know, I did this on a copy and everything, so I'm safe. But I like to save often. I'm often saving like after every step pretty much. So don't forget to save, guys. That's a really, really important step. Alright! I guess I could cover a little bit about rigging. I've already went over that with this hair before, but there was no sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this group. We'll get our actual hair out. I like to do my hair in a single object just because I like to do it in a single object. Actually, back in IMVU, when I would use the physique modifier instead of skin, you had to have it in one object. So it's just become a practice with me. So you can see it's already been rigged pretty much right there. Right. We'll go ahead and delete the skin mod. Add it back so I can show you guys. Oh, let me cover this about the sizing. You can see I have, these are FFD modifiers. You can see right here, I use this one, the box. And you can change the number of points that you see here accordingly. I use these to make the sizes. And if you look, you can tell I got, this one's for the large, the medium I left the same, or let's see, here's the medium, and this would be the small. But basically what this allows you to do, let's go ahead, we'll open the small one and play around. Whoops. Alright, you can select points and scale them. Whee! Alright, and you can select single points as well. Move them around. That's a bad example. Can move to adjust these. Maybe I think it's too close to her head and I want to move that back a little bit. I could do that if I wanted to. If I wanted this to be out more, I could select these points and move them around. You know, maybe I don't like her head shape. You know, I can change that to just something goofy. Yeah, anyway, we'll undo all that because we don't want it. It was fine before. Alright. Get rid of the skin. I did too much. Alright. So back at the skin. And that works. I've done it for clothes, for anything. You can just, you know, add points in those areas where you know you need them. Like, I knew I would want to change, you know, the breast area, so I made sure I had points in a spot that made sense. You know, so I can take these and move them and adjust for larger boobs. Yay! Awesome prim boob mode. Anyway. Take this off. They can be on or off when you're scanning. It doesn't matter. Alright, we'll add the bones that I want. I usually use the head and the chest. Sometimes I use the neck, but a lot of times I don't. I think I did in the original skinning that I did for this, but we won't for this, just for time's sake. It will come out pretty much the same. Alright. This skin modifier uses envelopes to skin things, and you can also like scroll down here and get the weight painting, but we'll talk about that later. First, let me, like, right now I'm kind of outlining the areas that I want each bone to cover, just by having them, you know, I'm stretching out the envelopes to cover the parts of the hair. Now if we look at this right now, that's kinda, you know, that's not pretty at all. We want more influence from the chest bone there. And we probably don't want it up on, you know, this area around the head right here so much, you know? Though, I'll be honest with you, it's not bad right now. I actually kind of like this a lot. I could leave it like that if I wanted to. But, let's say we want less influence. Let's see if we look. Oh, actually, it's really good. Okay, let's say we wanted less influence from the chest bone. We could move this down. And you've got to make sure you're clicking on these vertices right here. Oh, hard to see, look, pulling in too much. But like these will move the actual bone itself. You can move it up and down, forward and back, left and right. You know. And these ones outside on the envelope, they just, you know, adjust the envelope. This one on the inside adjusts its influence within the envelope area, which you can make it if you feel like the head bone has too much influence on the vertices around it. You can either make the influence envelope smaller on the head bone, or you can make the one on the chest bone larger. And if you look at that, you can see how this takes it more. But I'm gonna leave it undoing right now, like that. Okay. And you see, that's actually not that bad. I mean, in the back, kind of, it's kind of meh. You want to smooth it out a little. Yeah, that's not bad. And then if I felt like I wanted to smooth it out some more, and this is something that I kind of don't like to do because it does, if you look at, here we'll change it, if you look at this right now, you can go into the weight painting and get you this giant brush, because that whole thing is small. We can change it to like 5. That's even large. See, 1. Oh, it's so big. That's what she said. Okay. 0.5. Yeah, there, that's a smaller brush. We'll do 0.25. But you can go in and like smooth out these, or you can even, this is, if you turn off this blend paint weights, it'll, you know, oh look, we're making everything go on the head bone. Yeah, that's awesome, amazing. Well, I don't want that. I don't even want it blended like that, because it did really well on its own. That I find for clothing that tends to be a little more helpful because you don't have so many overlapping vertices and all like you get with hair. For hair, I pretty much like to leave it just whatever I get with the envelopes. and it works out really great. You saw, like, I did it just like, you know, I just did a little test stretching out and everything, and it turned out really well right on that first time. So, and that is, yay, it's rigged. Woohoo. Amazing. Alright, that's all I will cover in this video. I've had a request for how to do the animation that I use to test the rigging, you know, and I will get over that in another one. But I just wanted to do a quick overview of all the steps. So there it is. I hope this video helps out a lot of people. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can hit up my Plurk. It's plurk.com/mechadolly. I'll put a link in the comments. I'm Alice Demonia in World of Alice Project. Yay, everybody shop there and buy hair. Alright, again, I hope this helped, and thank you so much for watching. I hope this will help you get a little bit into the hair market if you're looking to get into it, or maybe it will just help you improve your technique. Alright, ta-ta, bye!